Did you know that bananas are actually purple? Let me explain. I've posted a few videos of me painting an apple, a banana, an orange, in maybe some unconventional colors. And I'm doing that using something called underpainting. I've gotten a lot of comments talking about how you don't need to do that, it looks wrong, etc., etc. At the end of the day, do you need to use underpainting? No. Is it a useful tool to have in your repertoire? Absolutely. But hold on, what even is underpainting? Well, simply put, it's when we paint a first layer, a wash, over a whole piece, and we use it to tone the rest of the painting. You can think of it like a monochromatic color value map. It's the sort of way that you can lay down where the shadows are, where the highlights are, and it'll guide you through the rest of your painting. So let's take a look at a couple examples. I'll show you two sketches side by side, one with underpainting and one without it, so you can compare them. Alright, voiceover time. I'm going to paint two bananas here, one on the left with no underpainting, one on the right with underpainting. I'll treat them both the same the whole way through so you can compare them. For starters, it's a little bit of wet on wet, so I've put some water down on the paper and then I'm putting a light wash of yellow over the one on the left, and on the right I'll put a light wash of purple down. This just helps me get a nice soft layer in there without really hard lines or anything like that. On the left, we'll go straight in with the yellows. The top is going to be lighter, so immediately I am forced to decide how light is the top going to be. On the right side, I'm painting the purple first. I can keep it generally pretty light, but then I can add more purple to the sides and the bottom where I know there's going to be more shadow. So one immediate benefit with the underpainting is that I don't have to commit quite as much right at the start. While the paper is still wet, I'm adding a little bit of brown to the banana on the left. It's worth noting that I make brown by mixing purple and yellow together, so it's the same color, it just depends on when you mix them. This is really just a first layer, so I'm just making a hint of the darker colors and the shadows on the yellow banana with bits of brown and some more shading. On the purple side, I add a few darker areas to exaggerate the shadows that will eventually go there. I'll blend them out like normal, and I can also use a little bit of texturing, the scratches and the bruises on the banana that you might see in finished painting. This is what I meant by creating a roadmap for the rest of your painting. You put these shadows down and you can kind of see through the rest of the painting where the dark areas are supposed to be, where the highlights are supposed to be, and you haven't necessarily committed to everything right up front. Watercolor is supposed to be a flexible medium, and this is one way to achieve that. The deeper the purple that I lay down, the darker the shadow I expect to paint there in the end. The nice thing is that when I paint over the purple with a yellow color, it will just sort of neutralize that purple tint and give it a brown tint in its place. Now that the first layer has dried, the yellow banana is looking a little bit light, which is fine. So I'll go back in with a second layer to get a more saturated mid-tone, still trying to preserve the highlights where I can and leave room for shadows. And now finally, the layers on the right have dried, and so I'm going to finally add a layer of yellow to the purple banana. It starts as a really light yellow wash over the whole thing, with more paint going into the mid-tone area, so the area on the side, and not so much on the top where the highlight is. You can see pretty much immediately wherever the yellow is going over the purple, it's creating this brown tone, which is exactly the color you would see if a yellow object was in shadow. The more concentrated the two mixtures of yellow and purple, the darker that shadow will be. On the left, I'll go in with a brown paint and add some of that texture after the fact. And you can see that you're left with two pretty similar paintings, just done in a different order. So there isn't so much a right or wrong way, as there is two different styles and tools that you can choose from. Starting with an underpainting can often be a great way if you want a more cohesive or stylistic look to your painting. Some people will find underpainting really tedious, and some will find it a useful tool. In the end, it's really up to what you want to do as an artist, and if you think it's helpful, use it. Like and comment if you found this useful, and subscribe if you want more content like this. See you next time.